Meteorologist Serena Arnold, we're going to give you an update on what's going on with Helene here as of Tuesday, September 24th. This is the morning. Watches and warnings are everywhere. We're going to get more into those details in a little bit. One of the most important messages today is everyone knows this like cone of uncertainty, right? This is forecasting where the eye is going to be. That is it. Impacts for this storm are going to extend beyond the cone of uncertainty. Let you take a quick looky-loo here. Still forecasting this to become a major hurricane right before it makes landfall. But notice we have a slight eastern shift this way. While we're talking about the cone of uncertainty, remember this is the path for the eye. I want you to understand the storm is rotating this direction. If it reaches hurricane speed, that's going to be about 74 miles an hour. It's going to be greater than that. Let's go ahead and assume 80 for math. Math with me for a second. You can do this. If the storm's moving 20 miles an hour this direction and it's spinning at 80, understand that everything that's happening on this side of the storm is going to be 80 plus 20. So that's going to be 100 miles an hour here, and it's going to be 80 minus 20, 60 miles an hour on this side. South and east of where this eye is going to be making landfall, the impacts for storm surge and for flooding are typically much greater. You also have much greater wind speeds. And with the size of the storm, they are expecting these wind speeds to make it further inland than they typically do. Now, there is a bit of good news this morning. If you follow me, which I'm sure there's a couple new people, forecast discussions are the most important thing you can read over any graphics or anything like that. So you can go ahead and pause. This is the forecast discussion from the National Hurricane Center. This is full of amazing, amazing information. The good news this morning is that the wind shear in the area where the storm is forming has not phased away like forecast models have been expecting. This is a good thing because the storm has not been able to get organized and get going as quickly as we would have hoped. It is still forecast to become a major hurricane before it makes landfall, but what this slowing down, based upon what the forecast said, has done is it's reduced slightly the forecast model's intensity, and it has also slightly delayed the landfall. So with what we know now, our best forecast estimate would be a landfall sometime on Thursday evening rather than Thursday afternoon. Let's walk through a whole bunch of stuff. This is the storm. You see, it just didn't get organized last night as much as we were hoping for. This is a really good thing. Here's that cone of uncertainty that we still have. We'll talk about this western jaunt that it's going to be taking later because a lot of people along the Carolina coast and Georgia coast are asking, do I need to worry? No, probably not yet. So we see where it's located. All right, here's the intensity forecast, right? So this has come down a lot. It was a little higher to Cat 4. At some parts yesterday was even going up to Cat 5. A lot of the models agreeing on Cat 2 or 3. Cat 3 is still a major storm. So taking a look at where these forecast models saying here, this is where we're starting to see the eastern shift in the GFS ensembles, and I believe it. I would pay attention to those, and it would make a huge difference in the forecast too and the impacts if the storm shifts east. So going back to this graphic, you just kind of have to imagine this thing's rotating counterclockwise. It's going this way, it's going this way. It is a very small difference in the forecast path if it goes right there or if it goes right here. But the impact damage is tremendous. And this is a very, very short distance. So if the storm ends up making landfall here, more around, say, like the south of Tallahassee area, this is where you're definitely going to feel the strongest effects. But if this suddenly turns and goes right, you could be feeling effects all the way down through the entire Gulf Coast of Florida, all the way down here to the Keys. That's a massive difference in a very short period of time. And all it would take is the smallest change in the forecast track. This is the reason why yesterday I said if you are from like Panama City all the way down through Tampa, Sarasota, Naples, all that, you need to be preparing. So like we mentioned at the start of this, there's lots of watches and warnings, and you can see they extend everywhere, basically all along the entire western coast of Florida because of that uncertainty. Because if this does make a small shift, everyone down here is going to be caught very much by surprise. And this is so hard for meteorologists for forecasting, but we understand it's even harder for you. As someone who made a comment in one of my other video comments, it was a phenomenal comment. They're like, okay, so say we're here and then we evacuate to here. That's where they have friends or family or whatever. And then the storm path moves. You have to be so careful because you could potentially be relocating into the path of the storm with stuff like this that is just with small changes making very large impact changes for the entire state. The last thing I'm going to show you is the forecast discussion. I can't remember what office I pulled this from, but I'm going to go ahead and let you take a look at this as well. Like, pause it if you need to. There is tremendous, tremendous insight here as well from like one of the National Weather Service offices right there in Florida that's in the path. Here they talk about how big changes in like its actual trajectory will cause major differences in the forecast for those in Florida. This paragraph says with the size and the speed of this storm, impacts are going to be very widespread. You're going to feel those wind speeds further inland than you typically do. And this very last one down here says, you guys have received a lot of rain. The ground is really wet. You're going to be getting even more of it. And after the storm passes, the precipitation is going to linger around, increasing your flood threat beyond what is typical for a storm of this nature. So not huge changes from what we talked about yesterday, other than a slight easterly shift in the forecast track. And also its lack of being able to get up and go from what we forecast yesterday is helping to delay the arrival by just a little bit. We're talking maybe half a day, which will take every second of preparation time for everyone here that we can. It's also slightly dropping our forecast intensity, but we are still forecasting this to make landfall as a major hurricane, probably as a Category 3.